Mic check, take two. Is the audio coming through? We are back. Blue Jays fans, Jaybird watching fans, welcome in. We are recording Thursday night as kind of like a pregame show between the Toronto Blue Jays and the Los Angeles Angels, the final game of this 4-game series between the two teams. My goodness, what a pitching matchup we have tonight. Jose Barrios against Shohei Ohtani. Adam, Craig, how are you guys doing, my co-hosts?
Doing well.
Well, don't you like my new random above ground layer?
Yeah, how's the loft treating you?
I'm moving out of the basement or in the living room, basically, to finally having my own office. I'm kind of feeling like I'm moving on up, just like the Blue Jays. Ow!
Yes. You
got
went
the
up a level.
view.
Yeah,
there you go.
You get to look over.
It's not quite the CN Tower, but I'm working my way there.
Yeah, you might get there.
All
Hopefully,
right.
the Jays get there too. But they got up to a good start since the last time we recorded in terms of getting into the playoffs. The unfortunate thing is the Athletics and the Yankees, and then alternating days between the Red Sox and the Rays, they just don't want to seem to lose anymore. But, gentlemen, Adam, Craig, my goodness, I know when we recorded last week, I think we were pretty optimistic about the Blue Jays' chances against the Boston Red Sox last week. I think we all predicted 3 out of 4, so we were correct. But they were this close from sweeping them, and it would have been just a game back of Boston. Had they done that, they leave the series 3 games back, and we are done with the Boston Red Sox for the year, which is crazy to say considering that when that series ended, it was still very early August. And there's a lot of baseball left, 50-something games remaining. Blue Jays are 3 back of the Red Sox, 4 back of, actually, I guess now 4.5 back of Oakland because they won again today against the Cleveland Indians. So, Craig, let's start with you. How awesome was that series, to say the least? Like, it started on Friday. Alek Manoah throws another good game. Saturday, we get a thrilling walk-off win with Marcus Semien hitting home run in the bottom of the 7th after a really well-pitched game by Robbie Ray. They lose 2-1 in extra innings. Another good start from Jose Barrios, his second good one as a Blue Jay. And then the dramatics of Sunday. Like, I think that series just maybe woke up the rest of baseball a little bit and said, yeah, the Blue Jays are firmly in this playoff race. They are ready to go. What were your biggest takeaways from those 4 games with the Red Sox?
I think we made the joke last week that when the Blue Jays were playing the Royals, that maybe, I think it was the collective group here that we were saying that Santiago Espinal catch might have been the turning point. I think they completely cemented that whole idea over the weekend here against the Red Sox. The Red Sox are looking like a fractured team at the moment, and they took all advantage of it except for that one game in the doubleheader. And that's unfortunately the Blue Jays' MO for doubleheaders at all this year, period. Anyway, so going out of a doubleheader with a split and doing everything else they did that was, properly appropriate, I'm going to be okay with it. It was very impressive, and they did everything they needed to do to show the American League East, hey, guess what? We're here. We're ready to go, and you better watch out. It was just fun to watch.
Adam?
It was personally extremely gratifying to see them beat Boston. I don't know if people have heard me say this just for the sake of clarity, or I guess in some cases redundancy. I don't hate anything in this world besides the Red Sox. It's the only thing I hate. It is the only thing I truly despise.
Are you sure? Because there's a Y word that I think you probably hate just as much or close to.
You're talking the Yankees?
Yes.
No.
I know you're.
No.
I know you're near your backyard of Rhode Island. There, you get nothing but. How you doing with the freaking Sox?
Yeah, Sox kid. Sox, the fucking Sox. No, I don't hate the Yankees nearly as much as I hate the Red Sox. So seeing them and having these games blacked out on MLB TV, because technically I'm able to watch them on cable TV on NESN. So I had the NESN feed on, and hearing the broadcast crew call that Springer shot was a thing of glory. It was just perfect. It was great. I agree that has to be the turning point in the season. That has to be a moment that it's sort of like the Jansen Grand Slam from last year. And
good call.
Obviously the Jansen Grand Slam wasn't, I don't know if we can mark that as the turning point. Maybe in our minds it was because it stands out so much. But for this year, that is definitely a point where, post-trade deadline, can the Jays make a run for it? That Springer home run was definitely the catalyst for that. So it was amazing to see. This team is on a tear. This team, despite having 2 losses sprinkled through there, that they're eagerly trying to make a playoff push. I don't know what else to say about it. I am so thrilled that this team is doing and getting hot at the appropriate time. Like George Springer, perfect time to show up. Perfect time to show up. So it was great to see.
So to that point, because you mentioned a bunch of the things that are actually on the list here about what's really turned down the Blue Jays season. After a little bit, I can't remember which day I posted it, but during the Red Sox series, I posted on our Twitter account that, hey, what was the Blue Jays' actual turning point of the season? As we had talked about the Santiago Espinal, and I listed 4 things: that catch, the fans, the dome field advantage, and then Springer.
Yeah.
Springer makes it with 37.8% of the votes. The dome field advantage with a close second place, and then the catch was third, and fans fourth, surprisingly.
Yeah.
So, but to that point, perfect, right? It's exactly what they needed.
I think so, especially because we all predicted 3 out of 4. It would have been so nice if they got that Saturday game, especially after how well Jose Barrios pitched. But you know what? The curse of extra innings and just being able to not lock it down. On that homestand, that was only 2 losses, and both of them came in extra innings. So they were that close from having an absolutely perfect homestand, and it would have had them even closer in the standings to both Oakland and to Boston. They could be level potentially with Boston right now if they won that game on Saturday, but we can't look back. We can only look forward. And with that, Adam, how much momentum does this series give them the rest of the year, considering, the doubleheader on Tuesday against the Angels did not start off very well. A lot of bad luck, especially George Springer coming up with runners in scoring position and just hitting rockets right to Jack Mayfield at third base, and he'd scoop it up for a double play twice, I believe it was, in the late going there. But they won the last 2 against the Angels. Do you think that Red Sox series just gives them the momentum they need to run the rest of the way and get into a wild card spot?
Yeah, I think that when you face a team that was so hot in the beginning of the season, we all had the Red Sox written off as pretenders, and then come the All-Star break, even I was the one to say that I think they're legit. We're starting to see a little bit of a tailspin when it comes to the Red Sox, and it's at an appropriate time. When you come, I mean, they were home, so when you're at home and you're able to host a team that for the majority of the year has pretty much taken you out to town, right? Mm-hmm. And I mean, it would have been better if it was Tampa, but beggars can't be choosers. When you're able to take 3 out of 4 against a team that we were happy with a split if it happened, how can you not ride that wave into LA? And there were some hiccups in game 1 of the doubleheader. A lot of people are going to be talking about Thornton. A lot of people are going to be talking about Matz. I get it. And, I know it's on the agenda. Vladdy's not the Vladdy of midseason. Bo is, kind of not performing as well as we would like him to. To be able to scrape out another 2 wins, this team has to be riding on momentum. And that's not taking away from any of the talent. It's just that these are the games that you're heading into early August, into September. These are rough. These are really rough for players because they are feeling it at this point. It's a full season. They haven't done that since 2019.
Yeah.
All right.
It's true.
So
and most of them not even that.
Yeah, that's true.
You're talking youngsters and whatnot. Minor league seasons are completely different, all that kind of stuff too. So
yeah. So they're riding, and if they can keep up this momentum, I see no reason why they can't get a wild card spot. And guys, I'm gonna say it, and maybe Craig, you'll like this because the Y word. I don't think that the Yankees are that good. They're really difficult to watch. And who are they playing? Kansas City? Well, right now they're playing Chicago, but they just played Kansas City. What are you taking away from those games? Absolutely. Like these are real games that you're playing against Chicago in a bullshit stadium. I'm sorry, I don't even think Field of Dreams is that good of a movie. Like it's
honestly, I'm pissed at that.
Series.
And I want that on the agenda. That field makes me angry.
Yeah.
If I bought a ticket for that damn ball game, I'm expecting to see no fence, cornfield. Period.
Yeah,
and
that's what
an actual bleacher creature on the sidelines. You're paying for that nostalgia, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
but
that'd be so funny.
We do have a soft schedule coming up after, even if you want to include LA into that mix. And I know they're sort of in postseason contention, but we do have somewhat of a soft schedule coming up, and these games against the Mariners, I know we're going to get to it, are very important. So this is the time right now. Jays have to take advantage of these games, and what better way to do it than take 3 out of 4 against Boston?
Absolutely. Craig, how much are you taking from that series? And maybe I'll ask you the question, how soon do you think they could catch Oakland or Boston?
Honestly, those two teams right now are starting, like I said, it looks like the Red Sox are fractured at the moment. They really need to figure out something to glue this whole thing back together. I'm sorry to say their little shopping cart ain't the reason that they're going to get back together, I don't think. But to that point, Oakland has shown their flaws too, and they just injected a bunch of new guys into that team that are still trying to find their footing. And the Josh Harrison they got, and it's more or less I felt like they grabbed like the old Pirates with Starling Marte and Josh Harrison and all these guys, and it's very interesting to see, but they haven't really gelled that piece yet, even though that is obviously a big thing. Meanwhile, in Toronto, Jose Barrios looks like he's been there all season already with how he's acting with the gang there on the front bench. I don't know if you guys noticed after the Manoah thing the other night with or not the Manoah thing, the Twins pitcher that kind of walked a little too close to after the beanball to Randall Grichuk, but he was one of the guys that was yelling at him, and that was one of his old teammates. So to that point, to see Barrios in on that whole thing was just insane. So we're on the upswing. Chemistry's perfect. Yankees, Red Sox, Oakland A's are kind of struggling, I think, to band-aid those things together. And I think it's going to make for a very, very interesting race. And then I can wish, honestly, guys, that I could watch the Rays and the Red Sox just pummel each other the rest of the season.
I know.
And beat the living crap out of each other so we can just sneak in and take everything.
Yeah.
It's getting to that point. What was the score last night? 20 to 8.
Yeah.
Okay, 20 to 8.
Insane.
And then the couple games before that, the Red Sox didn't even look like they belonged in that series. So it's been crazy. And I think those two wild card spots right now are ripe for the picking. Somebody's going to step up. And right now the Blue Jays are getting hot at the right time.
Yeah, they absolutely are. Here's one question. I know it's not on the agenda, but it's something I thought of last night, or maybe it was the night before when the Red Sox were losing pretty badly. Is it just me, or does this version of the Boston Red Sox kind of remind you guys of the 2014 Blue Jays, and the fact that the 2014 Blue Jays had a really good start to the season, held on to the division until early July, and then snuck back down into a wild card spot, held on to the wild card spot until about mid-August, and then they just had a complete rut of form and fell out of it entirely, because the 2014 Blue Jays, they were a good team. I don't think they were bad. They were definitely flawed. I think the Red Sox are flawed. We're seeing that with their bullpen and some Matt Barnes regression, especially this past week, to say the least. And there's still some holes in that rotation, some big holes. I know they're getting Chris Sale back, but nobody can reasonably expect Chris Sale to be Chris Sale, like the ace Chris Sale, at least for a couple turns through the rotation. So I don't know. I'm kind of getting those 2014 Blue Jays vibes with this current Boston Red Sox team, and the fact that the Red Sox didn't really add anybody other than Hansel Robles. And I think one other minor
piece. Hasn't shown
up
yet.
Schwarber hasn't even played. Exactly. So I don't know, Craig, this kind of bleeds into the next agenda topic, which is the Blue Jays are 3 back of Boston right now, but they don't play them for the rest of the season. And you can say that, yeah, I would still love to have some games on the schedule against Boston. Do you think it would be easier to catch them by playing them? Or are you willing to take your chances with the soft schedule, Boston continuing to go on a decline? What are your thoughts on that?
It'd be nice to put the fate in our own hands, but to that point, we still have games against Oakland and the Yankees.
Yeah,
so
huge.
It's not out of our control. Those two teams are. It's a 4-team race for 3 spots is really what or 2 spots is what it's really coming down to, and we're playing 2 of those 3 other teams. So I'm fine with that. It would be nice to just like, to Adam's credit here, put a hurting on the Red Sox, but and knock them down a peg. But it does feel like that 2014 thing where we, in the flip side of that role too, the Blue Jays weren't able to add anything at that trade deadline, or didn't want to add anything at that trade deadline. So to that point, that's where the Red Sox just did. And apparently I need to shut that because I'm starting to like bleed out.
That's all right.
Or is this the sun is coming over the Blue Jays,
Yeah.
Adam, pick it up.
Yeah, no doubt. I get those vibes. I hear what you're saying. I just think that this Red Sox team is a little younger, and so I know you're not drawing direct parallels, but I think overall the talent is there, a little bit more than it was present in the 2014 Blue Jays overall. But I do agree with you when it comes to Chris Sale. I'm not afraid. This guy's coming off of Tommy John, right? And I don't know a single player that has come. Well, I guess you could say Stroman. Okay, I take that
wasn't
back.
an arm injury.
Yeah, it was an ACL. So yeah, I guess I don't know anyone that's come in mid to late season, recovering from Tommy John surgery and has lit it up. Right, they're relying on him, and it seems like it's a sink or swim whether or not Chris Sale is going to perform for this team as an ace level pitcher, and I just don't see that. Baseball is, I'm stating the obvious here, but it's a long, drawn out process that, look how long it took for George Springer to become George Springer.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, call me crazy, and I'm not trying to take away from his talent either, but it finally feels like George Springer is on the team. Now, I know like he was paid like a shit ton of money and he was a huge acquisition and it was a bidding war against the Mets for the Blue Jays, in the offseason, but it didn't really click that he was a Blue Jay until that Boston series for me. And obviously he was, but it just didn't felt like he was part of the team, because he spent so much time away from the team. He was on the injured list a couple of times. He came back and it didn't work out. He still had the hamstring injury or the calf or whatever it was. I forget. The leg, we'll call it. But now that he's arrived and won 2 Player of the Week awards in a row, it just seems like he's a Blue Jay and he's solidified his placement in this team. I think that type of dynamic Boston lacks, right? And if you don't have that core really pushing, and not to say they don't have any good players, but I just don't see how they can go on a run. I'm not seeing it. And I honestly believe, look, I love Oakland. I love the story. It's great. My dad was a huge Oakland fan, and they pummeled, what was it, Texas today? Pummeled them today.
Yeah.
I just think it's going to be the Yankees and Blue Jays for the wild card spot. I don't really think we have anything to worry about.
So to that point, right now, if you're talking pure momentum, I don't see the Yankees taking that. Red Sox, like I said, I think the Red Sox are going to be the ones that just miss it. And I honestly wouldn't be shocked if it's the Oakland A's and the Toronto Blue Jays right now.
All right, then we need home field.
That's probably where
I agree. Although technically that's Simeon's home field. Is that?
It's too big. It's too big of a park, and you're seeing Vladdy not adjusting.
There.
And so to that point, the reason that park is honestly part of it because the A's pitching is solid 1 through 5 right now.
Yeah.
Chris Irving is establishing himself as a solid pitcher for the major league level for the Oakland A's. And then you've already seen the other guys that have emerged in that rotation. So it's going to be very interesting to see where that whole thing goes with Oakland. To that point, they have just enough offense, but they lost their best guy to PEDs the other day and Ramon Laureano. So
yeah, true.
So that's a nice ding for them. But then again, they turned around and got Starling Marte to fill in, and maybe Marte will show up to be Marte because right now him and Josh Harrison aren't looking like the guys of old at the moment.
They're a 7-game winning streak right now.
I know, which is saying something. That's why I'm thinking that right now the momentum is on the A's and the Blue Jays side. And honestly, the Blue Jays only seem to be pushing down on the gas harder to the point of what we've talked over the last few weeks. And there's another nice home stretch coming in.
So where they at right now? It's the 12th, right? So they got 3 against Texas, so it should be wins. Then it gets tough, right? They got 4 against Chicago, 3 against San Francisco, 2 against Seattle, which whatever, and then 4 against New York to close out the month.
The Athletics?
Not easy. Yeah.
And that's before they come to Toronto too on that Labor Day weekend. So hopefully that takes them down a couple notches. And
right after Toronto, they got Chicago again.
Oh, good. So they have a tough schedule the rest of the way, it seems at least. They'll probably play Texas again. They'll probably play the Angels again because they're in the same division. Probably the Mariners.
They do.
Wouldn't be surprised.
And KC and the Mariners. But
of course.
So the second to the last series is against Houston.
Okay. Okay. I mean,
then we play the Yankees on the last day of the season. So how nice would it be for us to clinch and then just knock them right out of it?
Yeah. Do we? I thought we had, for some reason, I thought we had
Orioles.
Baltimore. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the series before. I think the Yankees is literally the last one.
No,
I don't have it in front of me. But opposite. Okay. Well, then fine then.
Yeah. No, it's all good.
I'll take an easy win, a few easy wins to end the season on. Although at that point the Orioles might be a little hungry to ruin everything.
Yeah. But yeah.
To that point, think I want to interject here, Brendan, if you don't
go
mind.
for it.
Some of Tortoise Farmer on our chat is actually wondering, how do you think we stack up against those teams as far as offense, defense, rotation, and lineup stuff?
Who against like Oakland, Boston, and
Oakland,
the Yankees?
Boston, and the Yankees.
That's a good
Maybe go
question.
offense first if you were, who we beat, who we were tied with, or any of that, or I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
When their offense clicks, they're better than all three. That's for
I
sure.
agree. So as far as the pitching goes, what are you stacking them up on? I think right now, if you were talking pitching with those teams, the Oakland A's are the only one on paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Oakland,
looks
Toronto,
competitive.
Yankees, Red Sox.
Yankees, Red Sox. Yeah. Garrett Cole isn't the Garrett Cole of old, and sticky stuff be damned.
Yeah.
But I trust. Yeah, I trust that rotation a little bit more, and it's close between the Yankees and Boston. It's not. It's a hair.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
on ours, I was starting to lean towards Ross Stripling being the guy I wanted to keep in our rotation over Steven Matz.
That's the way
that just ruined.
That's too bad. Guys, when is the last time that we were in this kind of a position? Because it's a little bit different from 2015 because there was only one team to pass, and that was the Yankees. And they did that quite easily after mid-August, or that series. They played them back in early August of 2015. 2016, they were in a playoff position pretty much the entire season. I don't remember the last time the Blue Jays were this close, had this many teams that they got to pass. And I asked that question because scoreboard watching has officially begun. Like the Red Sox lost today to the Rays 8-1. So actually, the updated standings are the Blue Jays would be 2.5 back of Boston for that final spot. A win tonight, they'd be 2 back. They both go into.
They're 2 back right now.
2 back right now, even better.
Yeah.
So what? They could be a game and a half then if they win. Okay. Yep. Even better.
Perfect.
So the Red Sox, after that series, they go play the Orioles for 3 games at Fenway, which is too bad. I would imagine they take 2 out of 3 there. Then they go play 3 at Yankee Stadium. And then they actually have a pretty soft schedule to close August. They go home to Texas, home to the Twins. I mean, if they don't win 5 out of 6, and that would be a colossal disappointment.
That's failure for their season right there.
Absolutely.
Letting the air out of the tires.
Then they also close at Cleveland the last weekend in August, and then going into September, they play the Rays. So there is a couple tough games sprinkled in there. For the Blue Jays, they go to Seattle after their game tonight against the Angels. So you know what? Not quite as comparable between the two teams. I would much rather be playing Baltimore than Seattle, but the Blue Jays can do themselves some favors by beating Seattle 2 out of 3 times and distance themselves from Seattle a little bit more. They play Washington when the Red Sox are playing the Yankees for 3. Then the Tigers. It's the stretch where they have to play the White Sox for 4 games. That terrifies me, to be completely honest. But I don't know. Is it just me, or is it just feels so stressful having to scoreboard watch every night, especially when teams like Oakland win, because it's like, shit, if we lose tonight, we lose ground again, and they cannot afford to be losing ground at this point in the season. So I'm just thinking, I don't remember the last time it was this kind of a playoff race for the Blue Jays since like the 90s. Because
the only one I can make the argument for, and it got separated this time of year, was 2003.
Okay, yep, that's probably true. They were in it. 2014, they were spiraling out of control, but they were still kind of in it. I think 4 games back in early September, but you could tell they just didn't have the gas to overcome that distance. So I don't know, man. It's going to be stressful. The rest of the season,
though, they literally, it's like it was about this time and things just went to shit, and all of a sudden AJ Burnett, I think, got hurt or had a blister or something, and Ray Halladay was obviously being Ray Halladay, but outside of him and Delgado, the whole team went flat for 2 weeks. And then
yeah, but I think we're all in agreement that Boston is the team that falls out of the wild card spot, and it's between the Blue Jays and the Yankees to capture that other playoff spot. Or Adam, do you think the Athletics fall out of it entirely too?
I do. I don't trust the longevity of the A's. I just don't. And I think, when the Yankees, given the prestige of the team, when they have their crowd behind them, when they believe, it just seems to rifle them through.
How much belief is there right now when Rundo Dor is one of their best players?
I mean, look, you can only. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't want to hope this, but you can only hope that Rizzo gets COVID because he's an anti-vaxxer. But let's not go there. Look, it's not just the August schedule that you touched on for the Blue Jays. September looks really good, and it looks really important, right? So you're closing out the August month rather, with the series against the Baltimore Orioles at home. Then you have Oakland coming in. Then you have to travel to New York to face the Yankees for 4. That whole 7-game stretch
massive,
is super important. Then you have a cushion where you face the Orioles for 4 in Baltimore, whatever. But then you're inviting the Rays back. And if you can invite the Rays into your home mid-September, you're hoping they've clinched at that point, and they're just like, whatever, we don't need to do. And you can gain some more wins. Then you got host the Twins. You got to go back to the Trop. So hopefully, again, they've clinched. They don't give a shit. Then you have the Twins for 4, the Yankees again, Orioles. These are important games. I have no problem, or I have no lack of confidence when it comes to the rest of August. I really don't. I think they win tonight. I think tonight's going to be a beautiful pitching matchup. I think it's going to be so fun to watch. Then you got the Mariners, not afraid. Nationals, not afraid. Detroit, not afraid. Chicago, if you can split, you're good. Then you got Detroit again, and then, like I said, Baltimore. August is good. August is the games you need to take advantage of to gain more confidence. September is going to be the motherfucker.
Yes.
Can I point out something ironic and funny here? This is the guy that was saying that we are not going to make the playoffs about 3 weeks ago, and now he's going.
No. I said, as constructed.
I know I'm going to true balls. I should have changed the name of the episode to "Not Afraid." And that's your episode name next week, Adam.
Not afraid. Yeah, Adam, you touched on that pitching matchup tonight. Let's move on to the last game of this Angels series. Jose Barrios making his 3rd start for the Blue Jays against Shohei Ohtani. MLB's hyping this up as the MLB home run leader is pitching to the 2nd place home run leader in Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Tonight has to be a must win, doesn't it? Considering that Oakland won today and the Red Sox lost.
Oh yeah, yes, 100%.
To me, this is perfect. Can't script it, right?
Yeah, it's must win territory. You want to close out a trip, out west, even though they're going to Seattle. But you want to close out a series against the Angels. Winning it. I don't want to split this series. I just don't. I think they're a better team. Yeah, and Ohtani, phenom. I get it. And it's not like they can just walk in and I'm claiming victory. I think it's going to be challenging, but you just gotta muscle through it. And I know we're going to talk about Vladdy, and I really can't wait to do it, but it's time to turn it around. It's time to gather yourself and believe in yourself and be what you were in mid-season form. I know it's easier said than done, way easier said than done, but you got to win this game. You got to take advantage of these hiccups. You got to take advantage of Boston slipping.
Yes.
Maybe the Yankees lose tonight. Who knows? Because like I said, it's a bullshit stadium. Maybe the Yankees lose, and you just have to take advantage of these games. So we're at the point in the season that every single game matters, every one of them.
That's why it's so stressful. Craig, how about you? What are you looking forward to tonight? Do you think Barrios goes out there and throws a gem?
I think we're going to get what could have been a Cy Young matchup if Barrios got off to a better start this season tonight. Barrios has been on fire, and honestly, he's been showing that completely, that he's moving right with what he picked, started finally reestablishing with the Twins for this season. Because like I said, it was rough for him the first month of the season. April was not a good time for Jose Barrios. So to the fact that he's turned around his season to what he has and how good he's been doing, it's going to be, I'm expecting jack and shit from offense on both teams tonight. I'm sorry to say it, and I'm calling the fact that it's going to be a Blue Jay home run off of Ohtani in some fashion. That's going to be like pretty much the deciding factor tonight.
That'd be nice.
Because the bats are too hot for one of them not to just find crazy lumber contact with one of those fastballs from Ohtani and watch it sail over one of those corners in that shallow, weird field down the lines. Because you guys, even though they add that wall to the out of town scoreboard and everything there in right field for the A's, it's only halfway up's a home run. You hit that wall, you're a home run. It's the weirdest thing in the world. They had an opportunity for an opposite green monster and they screwed it up. So, it's going to be an epic battle. I really do think so, because Ohtani's been Ohtani, and the Barrios has literally had a fire lit under his ass with this team. And I don't see him doing anything but pitch like his hair's on fire all the rest of the season.
That'd be nice. It just feels like his arrival has made everything click in the rotation, because they've been quite good. Even Steven Matz, for his shortcomings after his first 3 incredible starts to the season, he's been okay. He's a serviceable number 5. Like, you're not going to complain about what you get from him. You'll get some pretty bad. You'll get some potentially really good, but usually right in the middle. 4 runs, maybe 5 runs on a bad day. That's plenty for the Blue Jays offense to come back from. But yeah, I think they win tonight. And I'm kind of with you, Craig. I think it'll be low scoring, something where it's like maybe a home run puts them up 2-0, and maybe they can pitch the rest of the way to a victory. But yeah, it is.
I was just looking at the pitching comparison for tonight. George Springer apparently has found a way to hit Shohei Ohtani in 6 at bats. He's been 677 with a home run and 3 RBIs. Marcus Semien is also just under 300 with him in 7 at bats. So that's like 2 hits, 3 hits. So, but then you look on the flip side of that, guys that have faced Jose Barrios a lot in the Los Angeles Angels' lineup, and the only one that's even moderately has any success is Jose Iglesias. To Adam's point, not afraid.
Yeah. Not scared.
Yeah, not
scared. But yeah, there's 4 guys in their lineup that are probably going to be starting tonight that have over 12 at bats up against Jose Barrios, and the only guy batting 300 or even above 100 for that matter is Jose Iglesias.
Hey, good.
So that spells good things.
Yeah, I think so too. But yeah, let's move on because you both mentioned the offense has done pretty well, and that is I wouldn't say a surprise because they have so many good offensive players, but the main catalyst for this entire season, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., has not been very good the last couple of weeks, batting under 200 in his last 7 games or so. It's just weird to see the guy in a slump, and you can tell he's frustrated. And I don't know if he brought that into the field. I think I'll attribute that lack of a play on the pop-up on Tuesday to the sun. It really was. I think he just lost it in there, but you can just see the frustration growing by the day. It's baseball, exactly. So Adam, is this simply the first slump of Vlad's season? And that's pretty incredible that the first slump is coming in mid-August. That's just how good he's been since day one. Is it maybe some fatigue because this is his first full 162 in the big leagues? I know he came up in April of 2019, but that wasn't the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. that we have now. Or maybe is he pressing a little bit, seeing how well George Springer's done? Or you know what? There's a couple other factors too. A lot of he really started to slide after he got moved up into the 2-hole. So I don't know. Is it a combination of everything? What do you attribute these struggles to?
Yeah, I think he's just tired. Like I said, these are the times within the year that players start to break down, and it's not like they haven't been dinged up for the majority of the year. But this is a player, him along with Bo and Craig, as you mentioned, other players on the team too, that's never experienced a full season. I think it would be close to the end of I don't know how many series the minor league season has at this point, maybe 5 or 6. But it's something that you have to sort of make the adjustment. And it's unfortunate that he's never had the opportunity to do that, last year being what it was, the year before, the service time manipulation and whatnot. But this is what you have to deal with. I'm not seeing anything wrong with him mechanically. I'm not seeing anything wrong with him in terms of being ridiculously injured and something that we have to be overly concerned with. I know it seems like he's trying some things out when it comes to superstition, but it's just a slump. It happens. The best of them, the best of them go through a slump. You fail 70% of the time, you are considered amazing. So,
and to that point, he was above amazing.
Yeah.
Because to that, if you do a third time, or if you're hitting every third time, it's 333 batting average, and he was at 350 for a while. Did anybody expect that to last? He's still batting 316, and everybody thinks the world is ending.
Yeah, I mean, August hasn't been favorable to him, right? And batting average doesn't tell the whole story, but he's hitting under 200. And he's only got, 2 home runs within that span. So it's just 11 games. It's not terrible, and it's probably going to round up, if we're going to, bet the average here, probably finish the month batting around 200. But like I said, this team is hot as it is, right? You still have George Springer to sort of pick it up. You have Semien, who has been performing well. He's going to pick it up. The bottom of the order, like Valera and Espinal and McGuire, whatever, they've been performing well.
Bottle there.
Yeah.
And so now you got Kirk on top of that.
Yeah, this is the time you want him in a slump. If you were obviously maybe the beginning of the year, that would be better. But if you're going to choose a time, given what everyone around him is doing, minus Bo, you can afford to. He's just got to get right in September. September is the month that you have to take advantage of those wins, like I said. and really battle. And I'm not overly concerned. I know it's because he's been so amazing. People are seeing this dichotomy in performance. I'm not concerned. Yeah. Wait, if and when, and I'm leaning towards when we get into the playoffs, I think we're going to see him unleashed for that wild card game.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't know if you guys have noticed it, and they've mentioned it a few times, and I was starting to suspect this a little bit during before Pat Tabler and all them were catching on to it a little bit. I don't know if you've noticed it, but it's not that his swing or anything has changed, but it seems like he's loading a little late.
Yes.
So he's getting to the ball, and that's why he's almost to the point where he's almost taking everything the opposite way now, because he isn't getting that travel where he was, right here, boom, all the way back here when the ball's coming in, because he's kind of almost getting here and then having to come. So it's short punching it, and that's why everything's going the other way and right at people. But to that point, he has sprinkled in a few at bats over the last series here that I think he's heading back in the right direction, that I think he could be doing what he's been doing. But that point you said with fatigue and everything, that's the kind of stuff that plays into this. And it's muscle memory to a point, but then certain things, muscles get tired. Guess what? You don't get here, there all the time, and things just don't happen perfectly. You can't be Max Scherzer and have the exact same mechanics every game that you've ever played in for your whole existence. I encourage you, look at something from his Detroit stuff and look there and try overlaying the pictures. It will look exactly the same. It's freaking ridiculous. They did it on MLB Network a couple weeks ago. But to that point, Vladdy is going to be right in the very near future, I think. And these couple days that they sprinkled him in with DHs and days off lately are going to help that.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
Let's not discount travel too, right? Yeah. The last time they were on the West Coast was in May.
Yeah, true, in Oakland.
Yeah.
So it's been a while.
Yeah.
And to that point, finally having a home, maybe he had a little extra fun with the team being home.
Yeah, you never know.
That's possible.
The return to Toronto hangover.
Yeah. I do know from somebody who worked or used to work at a bar close by. Kevin and Bo went to the Fox and Fiddle after one of the games, after one of the Toronto games. I think it was after the first one. So
that's the place you told me to go. I remember enjoying it.
Yeah, no, it's a good spot. It's a good spot, and players do show up there from time to time. But I think it's honestly something that definitely worth monitoring. If this continues a little bit more, maybe bleeds into next week a little bit, but over the long run, he'll get back to doing what he was doing. And Craig, to your point about loading up a little bit late, that's what Schulman, Buck, Tabby, even what's his face, Joe Siddle on Sportsnet, they all said the same thing. So I think I attribute that, having very limited knowledge of swing mechanics, not playing much baseball when I was growing up, to fatigue, to be completely honest. He's just a little bit late, timing a little bit off. As soon as he gets it back, he will be ready to go. And if you combine
That's what happens in a season.
Exactly.
That's how it is. It's literally the job of the pitchers to mess with that. And they found a way to get into his head a little bit to the point, or it's a tired thing. And guess what? He'll figure it out. Yeah. He is still one of the best professional hitters in baseball, regardless of this. So people need to just get chill.
Yeah. You're basically telling them what Aaron Rodgers told Packers fans a few years ago. RELAX. Relax.
Yes. Just to say, I'll show you how I'm already going to pick him as my pick to click if you guys give me an opportunity. Just saying.
We'll see who wins and gets to lead off with those picks. But that seems like a smart bet, to be honest, going into Seattle. But no, I don't think it's anything to worry about, but definitely something to monitor as the series goes along. And speaking of the upcoming series, the Blue Jays are going off to Seattle after the game tonight. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like the Seattle Mariners probably contacted the office of the president and said, don't open the border so that Canadians don't flock down here and overrun our stadium. So it won't be the same home field advantage they normally get when they're on the West Coast and people coming down from Vancouver and Alberta to come see the Blue Jays, which is unfortunate because they could have used that lift. And a lot of players have not seen that yet since they've been up at the big leagues, and just how huge the Blue Jays fan base is. But regardless, 2 out of 3 coming up against Seattle, and they go to Washington for 2 games next week. A very slumping Nationals team who sold at the deadline. So considering, gentlemen, that tonight's a must-win, I would say any night the Red Sox, Yankees, or Athletics win, it's a must-win. And that will be that way for the rest of the season. But Adam, what are you expecting from this upcoming series? Is 2 out of 3 a failure Would you be happy with that, or go for the jugular and get the sweep? Because you got to start mixing in some sweeps. I know they did that with Kansas City. They almost did that with Cleveland. They almost did that with Boston. But those games that you don't take advantage of, you just don't gain the ground in the standings. And that's just where we are, considering all those blown opportunities back in May and early June when the bullpen was really struggling.
I'm not sure that it's fair, and maybe that's the wrong term, but again, I always go on the conservative side. If they take 2 out of 3, I'm not hating. I'm not discouraged. You got to win games, but you also have to win series, right?
Yep.
And if you win series, you get into the playoffs. Cito Gaston, haha.
There it is. I was just gonna say it. Cito.
Yeah. I'll take 2 out of 3, and I don't want to. I know we're gonna get into picks to clicks, but I'm not gonna be disappointed. It's not a failure. Those games against Washington and Detroit, those are the games that you should be looking for a sweep, especially a 2-gamer against Washington. Mariners are still in the hunt for a wild card spot, so they got a little fire there. Whereas the Nationals and the Tigers, it's neither here nor there. They don't care. So you should be winning those games. You need to take advantage of those wins and those series. You need to sweep those. But for the Mariners, would I like a sweep? Of course. But am I disappointed if they go 2 out of 3? I think at that point, if any Blue Jays fans are disappointed, they're being greedy at that point.
Yeah, that's fair. Craig, how about you?
To that point, I think 2 out of 3 they're going to take against the Mariners, and honestly, I'd be more insulted if they somehow lost a game to the Nationals.
Yeah,
yeah.
That offense looks just depleted. They've strung some good things together a couple of times, but it just doesn't look right in that ballpark right now with what's going on with the Nats. I feel bad for Juan Soto. Just saying.
Yeah. No kidding, huh?
But to that point, I think the Mariners actually still have enough, but they're trying to make a run at this whole thing, but they just don't have enough in the tank. I don't think they're in that spot where we were in 2019, right? They just had the things break right for them, unlike 2019 for us, where obviously we struggled to even get somebody to pitch 5 innings. So they have enough going right for them that I think they're going to steal 1 win from us from that series. I just don't see that as avoidable even. Where the Nats, we better sweep them and just take it. And then that will help establish this stuff while the other teams, like we were saying, are kind of crumbling a little bit, and ride the wave. They have all the momentum in the world right now. It would suck to watch that go off the rails against these 2 teams.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think 3-2 in those 5 games would be a disappointment. I don't think that gains them any ground. 4-1 definitely could gain them some ground in the standings and maybe get another game closer to Boston. I know they're playing Baltimore, but maybe you take advantage of that 1 loss potentially that Boston has against the Orioles this coming weekend. And you know what? Even next week, when the Red Sox play the Yankees for 3 games in 2 days, because one of them's a doubleheader, you got to imagine that the Yankees are going to use that as an opportunity to maybe catch and surpass the Red Sox because a sweep, and that gets them into the wild card. So take advantage of those games against Washington, gain more ground, and honestly, just start trying to catch Boston and then eventually put them behind in the rearview mirror and have one less team to worry about. And then it's you, the Athletics, and the Yankees, which is, I think, pretty much the theme of the conversation. That seems where it's going to go. Red Sox falling out of the picture, and then battling between the Yankees, Athletics, and Blue Jays for 2 wildcard spots. And could be any one of those hosting the game, could be any one of those that have to go on the road, could be any one of those 3 potential matchups too, which is actually really, really exciting. And I don't know about you guys, but a wildcard game, preferably at home, against the Yankees, a team that we haven't played in the playoffs and God knows when, I don't know if ever, would be.
I don't think they've played a home game against the Yankees ever in the playoffs. I don't know if
they've even played a road game against them looking back at 92, 93. So that would be terrifying, but also very satisfying if they were to go and beat the Yankees. Extra more satisfying if it was at Yankee Stadium. But
what a way to establish this young core if you were able to go do that and take a dump in their backyard.
Exactly.
Oh yeah,
exactly. It would just be incredibly gratifying. Looking ahead, Chris Flexen tomorrow night for Seattle, who's had himself a decent season, 3.81 ERA. The one that could be interesting and will probably get a lot of viewers over in Asia. Yusei Kikuchi is going on Saturday against Hyunjin Ryu. Kikuchi's their ace. 3.73 ERA, and then Logan Gilbert with a 4.05 ERA on Sunday. And I'm assuming they haven't announced, but Robbie Ray's turn in the rotation is tomorrow. Hyunjin Ryu on Saturday, and then Steven Matz is in line for the start on Sunday, which it sucks because Ross Stripling got off to such a good start last night, or was it 2 nights ago? 2 nights ago, when he left with the oblique injury. And I don't know about you guys, but that feels like a bit of a gut punch because it was trending towards, I think, Ross Stripling staying in the rotation and Steven Matz leaving the rotation. So, final topic before we get into picks to click: how much does the loss of Ross Stripling hurt this rotation, or do you think they can kind of balance that out with Steven Matz? Craig, why don't you start?
So I was about a week ago, I was thinking 50-50. I really didn't care who. But just watching what Ross Stripling's been able to do, and kind of, I feel like that's the reward to his season, right? He's been somehow managing to get better every week. And I don't think anybody really saw that coming. Like you, I think, Brendan, I think you were the one that mentioned that it was this year's Marco Estrada.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like, okay, we didn't know what we were really going to get. Great, he's on the team. You're going to get something good, but you never expected it to be this.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's an ace by any means, but to that point, he is better than most of the fifth starters in baseball at that point. Even to that point, Steven Matz is too. But there is something extra going on with what Ross Stripling's been doing, and I would have liked to see him get a couple more starts and have the chance to run away with it, where I feel like Steven Matz regressed enough to the point of it was like, okay, great. Is it a Jekyll and Hyde situation? Was it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? And it was either going to be one of the two. There was no in the middle there, right? So I figured his arm would play better out of the bullpen for the time being. And that's nothing new to either of them because Steven Matz even did that last year in 2020 for the Mets. So to that point, I was looking forward to having Ross Stripling be going for the fifth starter now that we know Alek Manoah is basically never going to be going anywhere from this rotation because he is godlike all of a sudden, like as far as like video game level of stats, right? For a rookie.
Incredible.
I think we need to talk on that for a minute. But to that point, I think Ross Stripling would have been the nicer one to have. But I think when he gets healthy, I don't see anything changing in Steven Matz's repertoire or anything to cement that role for him. I think it's going to be one of those situations that they're going to have to reevaluate once the oblique is healed up for Stripling.
Yeah, and that's a tricky injury, isn't it, Adam? You never know with obliques, especially with pitchers.
Oh yeah, no, he's gonna. I don't think we're gonna see him until at least September. But what a fucking world we're in, where we're saying, oh man, Ross Stripling,
right,
leaving the rotation, it's a blow to the rotation. This is a guy I think it was in May, where we were on this podcast and said, how much more wiggle room can we give Ross Stripling?
That's true. But to that point, he wasn't completely
start.
In the crap. The Nationals guy that we hated. I've already pushed him out of my brain.
What do you mean?
The pitcher that we had, that we were trying to get, that used to be on the Nats.
Roark.
Roark.
Yeah.
We weren't putting him in the Roark category yet.
No. But I remember saying we're gonna give him one more. We're gonna give him one more start to see, and it was literally that one more. Yeah, he's had some hiccups here and there, and against Boston, they're sort of the bane of his starting career as a Blue Jay. But what a world we're living in where Ross Stripling, when he goes down with an oblique injury, which, as you mentioned, Brendan, it's costly for pitchers. We're not overly concerned because, again, it's whatever. But we're thinking to ourselves, oh man, he was all right for us. He sort of figured it out.
Good. That sucks.
Yeah, whereas Matt's. It's a really bad time for Anthony Kay to be hurt right now, and I think he'd be here. But you take what you can get. These are must-win games, and you got to rely on your offense to sort of pick up the slack and put up a 7 or 8 spot to have that cushion for the bullpen, which, to its credit, has been much improved, minus Trent Thornton. It's whatever. Am I concerned about him being gone? Not terribly. If he's back, just give him 2 starts to not pitch, right? Give him 2 starts off. That should be enough, and come September, we'll see what we got.
You could even potentially go down a man in the rotation. Maybe not, because it's only 2 games and then they got a whole stretch. But I was just thinking if you could go down to 4 for a little while, like what they did earlier in the season. But I don't think that will work out too well. But yeah, it was definitely trending in the direction of Steven Matz going to the bullpen and Ross Stripling staying in the rotation with what he's done outside of everybody not named Boston. And you don't play Boston anymore for the rest of the season until maybe the playoffs. So Stripling was pretty firmly entrenched in that 5 spot, and it does suck that he's gone because he seems like such a easy guy to root for in a way. Like his podcast is quite good. I'm a fan of his, think he's a good guy. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think you're right, Adam. I'd be surprised if we don't see him until maybe mid-September, maybe early September at best, because obliques are tricky, especially with pitchers. Probably more so hitters and position players, but still, the torque that you got to get from your midsection as a pitcher can't be understated at all.
His facial expressions when things suck for him are just gold. It's just it's his facial expression like
yes.
Yeah, he just knows it, and he doesn't hide from it. And his post games are great, where he's just like, I was terrible, like I just saw, and he's genuine about it. I mean, you're right. How could you not like the guy? I understand it was frustrating in the beginning of the season, but he's probably one of the most genuine people on this team.
Very honest interviews is what he gives.
Yes.
And he's open to it too.
Sometimes
he's like,
apparently he's a little too honest too, but
he's like, hey, I went
anymore.
to Walker, the pitching doctor, and he fixed me when I was going through some rough spots, and he's not afraid to admit that. You know what? That's a sign of a guy who's bought into analytics and what the Blue Jays are doing on the coaching side of things. So all good stuff there outside the injury, unfortunately. Craig Witzer,
does Steven Matz remind you of like Brian Tallett or Scott Downs with the Jekyll and Hyde thing? Or is there a Blue Jay comp?
I'd say
you guys are thinking
Brian Tallett.
Yeah. I'm not thinking he's full Scott Downs, because Scott Downs at least somehow found a way to give you 4 solid innings, where Brian Tallett was a complete wild card, where he'd either give you 5 shutout innings or he'd blow up in the first inning.
Yeah, but he had that stash, bro.
Yeah, didn't he have the mutton chops for a little while too? I know that was McGowan.
Yeah,
pretty sure Talent had like the Wolverine.
I missed Dustin McGowan.
Yes, Craig, was there any comments on the live feed? Considering that we are not recording during a game, looking at the Twitter feed, everybody's watching the Field of Dreams game, which is apparently really, really cool with the way they did the intros. But was there any questions from any of our listeners tonight?
Nope, I've snuck them all in.
The one from Tortoise Farmer, whoever you are you actually a tortoise farmer? Like, tell us.
Kind of interesting. That sounds like an awesome profession, just saying.
Yeah. What do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a tortoise farmer. What?
Kind of jealous.
You heard me.
But to that point, we were talking a minute ago about Alek Manoah. Does anybody want to chime in on, like, basically he's the best rookie pitcher like ever in his first 10 starts after the other night?
He's been incredible. There's no other way of saying that.
He's the only rookie pitcher to throw 7 strikeouts in a row that one start, and now he's got the lowest ERA in Blue Jay history through 10 starts. And I don't know if you saw the graphic the other night. The company that he's in is with Jimmy Key, Marcus Stroman, Calvin Escobar, and I forget the big
Juan Did you say Juan Guzman?
I didn't say Juan Guzman. That was the one I was thinking in my head. And watching Juan Guzman pitch when I was a kid was one of the coolest things on the planet. That guy was electric. So watching that same kind of thing going on with Alek Manoah has been very impressive.
Everything we wanted Nate Pearson to be.
Yes. Honestly, in years where teams make the playoffs, you always have that one guy who makes a major step forward as a rookie. And Alek Manoah has done that like 20,000 times over at this point. It's been incredible how he's locked down that rotation spot. And imagine the rotation without him. I mean, I know we're crediting on this episode Barrios being kind of like that final piece to make the rotation go, but Manoah very much equally the same on that front. It's pretty remarkable what he's done to say.
Watching his enthusiasm has been just awesome too. He's like a little out there when he's in the dugout and everything and goofing around with the guys. Wasn't he part of the I'm taping Vladdy up crew too?
Probably.
Yes.
They tied him to the bench.
Him and his bromance with Hyun-Jin Ryu too is very interesting, to say the least. You would never picture those two together, but on Manoah's Instagram story on Monday, him and Hyun-Jin Ryu went shopping, I think on Rodeo Boulevard or whatever it's called in LA. So they have formed quite the bromance over the course of this season, which is kind of fun.
That's only better for both of them too, because they're gonna each feed off of each other, and obviously be that much better for that whole situation too. That's what's great about the chemistry on this team, period.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So with that, gentlemen, let's move on to picks to click for the next 5 games, because when we record on Thursday, there won't be a game, and it's a nice, even, clean broadcasting schedule or recording schedule for us, considering that there's no overlap in series like the last couple of weeks. So Craig, do the honors. What were the picks to click last week? And let's vote on who gets the honor this week.
Mr. Panicar, you had Jose Barrios, Adam, Marcus Semien, and I had Bo. Oops.
Yeah, I think Semien.
Can we? No, hold on. Let's hold off till tomorrow.
Okay, at the end of the series.
Okay.
Yeah, because if he lights it up tonight, it's yours.
What, Barrios?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like if he pitches,
No,
Very valid point. But to that point, though, it might be that even already, because Semien had a week, right?
I mean, he had a walk-off.
The walk-off, and
that's
a couple doubles the other night. I don't think he's homered since then, but he's had a good week.
Okay. So at that point, we're saying without a complete, another repeat of his last performance, we're saying that Adam is winning with Marcus Semien currently.
Right now, yes. But Adam, if you're willing to give it
another...
Yeah, I'll give it the night.
Okay, and you know what? Let's put it to a vote on the Twitter poll tomorrow. Get some engagement that way, and we will announce it on our next show. But you know what, Adam? Because you're in the lead right now with Semien. If Barrios does not have a good start tonight, even if he has a good start but they don't win, or he's kind of like meh, I think you win with Semien. So why don't you lead things off with your pick to click?
All right. I'm gonna ride the wave. Let's go, Georgie. Let's go, Springer.
Feeling a little springy, huh?
I am. Keep it going.
Okay.
Craig?
Oh, you're going to let me take Vlad because I think it's going to happen.
Go for it. I had somebody else.
Feeling it, man. Because watching those at bats, yes, I stayed up and watched the whole game last night.
Man, that's
watching him swing last night was making me feel pretty damn good. But I was on the fence between picking him on an upswing because I want to be that guy, or just running with Teoscar, who has been in fuego.
Yes.
Yeah. You took my pick there. You didn't take it, but you said who is going to be. I'm taking Teoscar Hernandez. Like that grand slam, the first of his career last night, gets him going a little bit more. And if Vlad struggles in the Seattle series, Teoscar will be the one who needs to pick up the slack. But I do like, if you still believe in protection in batting orders, Teoscar is a great guy to have right behind Vladimir Guerrero Jr. So
Teoscar apparently that needs no protection at all. Teoscar Hernandez. But to that point, I want to say too that Lourdes Gurriel Jr.'s found a way to heat up a little bit with the bat over the last few weeks too. So that would have been nice.
Would be nice if he is able to get hot. But yes. Going to be interesting tonight. It's going to be fun. Blue Jays fans, we hope you enjoy the epic pitching matchup that's in store for us. Jose Barrios, Shohei Ohtani. Consider this episode of Jaybird Watching kind of like your pregame show, and also hopefully predicting the future of the Blue Jays getting into the playoffs ahead of the Red Sox and maybe ahead of the Athletics. But any final closing words, gentlemen, before we do 2 claps and a Ric Flair and a thank you to Stadium Scene as well?
Yeah. Happy birthday, Blue Jays. This day, 1976, they were born. So happy birthday to the Blue Jays. And 1 month from today, let's go Buffalo Bills. That's all I'm saying.
Bills.
That's true. NFL does kick off 1 month today, so that's going to be fun. Craig, anything you want to add before we close it off?
He already beat me in everything. He's too good.
All right, gentlemen, let's give it 2 claps and a Ric Flair and a get vaccinated. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Woo!
Woo! Go Blue Jays.